Hey, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Amanda, and this is Beyond a Ballot.
powered by DoorDash. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond a Ballot. You probably think you're listening to the wrong podcast because you don't recognize my voice. Well, I am very sick this week, but here we are. Amanda and I are ready to dive in on all things tariff.
Rach, you are just dealing with what we're all dealing with, which is having little people bring a lot
Yes.
of germs into your house. And so inevitably, you're going to get all the viruses.
Here's the thing,
so
though.
sad. Are you okay?
I'm sweating as we're taping.
Girl.
I think I have two separate illnesses that have now merged into one.
Good times.
And our amazing producer, Tim of the podcast, he actually messaged me saying, "You sound awful" yesterday. So if Tim's telling me that, I'm pretty bad. But why do kids not get sick? I feel like my kids barely got this.
No, my kids are always sick.
Oh, God.
No, they come home with everything, literally everything. So
Everything.
I feel like I spend between November and like April
Your
in a
sick
constant state of like running away from my three children's germs.
Germs. Constant hand
And then
washing.
we're good. We get like a little reprieve in those summer months, and then like it's back again.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Well,
Anyway.
on that note, today's episode is a little bit shorter. We were going to do some headlines, but I can barely remember my own name this week. With that said, we are very, very excited for our conversation today with Pattie Lovett-Reid, and we will be right back in a couple of seconds to talk to Pattie.
Our guest today is Pattie Lovett-Reid, longtime on-air financial commentator, host, and money guru. Pattie is here to break down everything to do with tariffs. And we know you have had so many questions, and we are so happy to have an expert to answer them. Welcome, Pattie.
I thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you, Rachel, for having me. I'm not sure I have all the answers because it has been a whirlwind of a week.
I know. I feel like we have whiplash
We do.
watching what has happened here and across the border. For our listeners, we have to tell you that Rachel is a little under the weather,
A little bit, as you
but
know.
she's here.
I'm here. I'm sweating, but I'm here.
Okay, so you're sweating because you're sick. I'm sweating because I don't know what to make of these tariffs. And I think we're going to start at the very, very beginning. So, Pattie, what is a tariff? For all of our listeners who are like, I'm hearing all of this tariff news, it's taxes, it's my eggs are going to go up in price. What is a tariff?
A tariff is, in essence, a tax on a good or service that is coming into a country or going out of a country. And the thing is that we are so integrated with the U.S. I'll give you an example. If we look at the automobile, there are parts that we send to the U.S., the U.S. sends back, and then we send back again, and then we finally get the end result. That means there'd be tax each time. And so it's estimated that if you were to go out and buy a car right now with these tariffs in place, it may add, call it $8,000 more to the price of a car. So it really is a tax. And in some cases, depending on if you're a manufacturer here in Canada and you ship your goods to the States and they're going to charge you a 25% tax, well, that means someone has to eat it.
Right.
Maybe the manufacturer, but probably they can't because their margins would be so narrow. That means their goods go up by 25%. So they're actually spending more in the U.S. for goods that we export, and likewise coming back here our way. We can talk about, when you said going to the grocery store. So the fact is, we have been very integrated with our largest trading partner in the world, and global trade is a good thing. I mean, it got to a point at one point that in the U.S., they were doing so well manufacturing, they wanted to open up trade to the world so they could export their goods.
Right.
And so it's in their best interest as well that we don't have these tariffs. But the fact is they are being talked about We may have a 30-day reprieve, which I think right now is like 27 days,
Right.
and a lot of negotiations going on.
So a
Maybe-
lot
Go
of
ahead,
our audience is small business owners, women that own shops or
Yeah.
developed products across Canada, and we love them and we try and support them as much as possible. But in the big picture, I mean, you talked about the automotive sector and the number of times that parts go back and forth and that added cost. If I'm a small business owner in Canada, what does that mean for me as somebody that's shipping, like, let's say, a $25
Yeah.
bottle of shampoo across the border?
Yeah, and if there's a 25% tax on it, you
Mhm.
can tell that that price has gone up exponentially, and small business owners are going to be slammed. There's no question about it. But I'm going to pose this question to you because I know Beyond a Ballot is following this. You know, we can't even trade across provinces
Right.
effectively right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so think about it. It may not get us through this situation today, breaking down those trade barriers. But if you're a small business owner and you want your goods to go across the country, I would ask you, can you do it now? Or are there rules, regulations in place that don't allow that to happen? We don't have tariffs across the country, but it's still prohibited in many cases, depending on what it is you're shipping. So I think the fact that when you have a period like this, there is great adversity and there's great confusion and there is great uncertainty. And then there's also great opportunity. And I think some of the opportunity that's going to come out of this, I mean, we're hearing talk that some of these trade barriers in Canada could be broken down within 30 days. We've
Finally.
been dealing with this for
Yeah.
decades.
I mean, let's stay on this for a minute because it's been a topic that we've been talking about in our other roles as commentators over the last couple of days. This idea, Minister Anita Anand came out and she said maybe as quickly as 30 days, which I felt like why hasn't this been done already? But tell us about, we've heard numbers like if we could remove the barriers, it could bring prices down by 15%. It would add 200 billion,
Right.
Exactly.
So for those asking, we've had a lot of questions on Beyond Ballot Instagram. For those asking, why do these barriers exist? What would it take to alleviate them? Give us a little snapshot of what happens in Canada when you're trying to trade province to province.
Well, you know, there are taxes and then there are regulations and they put rules in place and this has been in place and I honestly don't have the answer. And trust me, I have been looking. I've been trying to understand it. I have talked to institutional fund managers who have said, you know, this day of reckoning for Canada has been coming for a long time. It's one of those issues that sort of got punted down the road. You know what? Kick that can down the road. We'll deal with it when we can deal with it or when we have to deal with it, because one province would stand up against another and there would be a whole host of reasons depending on what it is we're talking about. And so that's got to change. That's one of the very first things. People are talking about, you know, buy Canada, support Canada. But can I also just throw out there before we sort of get into the nitty gritty? I do believe that Canadians are very resilient. We got through, and, you know, Rachel, I remember probably you were in the newsroom at the time when we'd be passing in 2008. Maybe not. Maybe I go way back then. But I remember the financial crisis. And it was bad. It was really bad. And then we went through the pandemic and then we shut things down and then we opened them up again. The government came out with subsidies and support for sectors as well as individuals. But I would argue that this is a one-time deal. It's a tariff. I'm not sure where this is going to end. The Pollyanna in me would suggest that, yeah, we're likely going to have some form of tariff, but maybe it'll be far less than the 25%, which in all likelihood would spiral our economy into a recession. If that were to happen, what happens is you could see, I was talking to Dr. Preet Banerjee yesterday on my Instagram Live, and he said we could shave 1% off employment That's hundreds of thousands of jobs. Rachel, you talked about small business owners. They could be hit. And I know they are. And here's how I know. One of my other hats I wear is I am a special advisor to Goldhar and Associates, and they are licensed insolvency trustees. And it's not about going bankrupt, but it's about getting through a difficult period when the margins are so narrow that you may need a consumer proposal that says, stop the interest clock right now. Let me figure out a way of what I can pay to get through this situation, which is why I really want to help these people, small business owners, as well as individuals, get through this bump, because we will get through it. It isn't as bad as the pandemic. It isn't as bad as 2008 financial crisis, but inflation has been high.
Yeah.
And when you go to the grocery store, even with inflation coming back, prices are still high.
Yeah.
And that's where people are feeling it. And prices don't come down as quickly. What happens is they hit another point where they don't rise as quickly. But we've seen that we still pay a lot, and many would argue too much, for eggs and everything else.
Right. I think that's a big fear of Canadians, is that we've weathered the last few years and this crazy inflation and the fact that strawberries are $10 now, and now to hit another, economic hump and fear that things are only going to go up.
And can I add one more element to it just before you do?
Yeah.
Rent and mortgages, and the number of mortgages coming up for renewal. It's staggering. And the sticker shock on an average home, let's just say a $500,000 mortgage. I'm doing the math really quickly in my head now that I said that. You're probably adding about $700 more per month.
Wow.
When you have households already living that close to the margin, and then you say, by the way, your renewal on this mortgage is going to be just that much more. Yeah, that is tough. That is really tough to swallow.
Wow.
Can we talk about staycations too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, because,
Are you taking one?
Should we all?
No, but here, you know what? I got to tell you, sometimes generosity really backfires. Because I said to my brother and sister, why don't we go on a trip together? And why don't you let us, pay for your flights and pay for this, because we'd like to do it.
Yeah.
We're at that stage in our life where we'd like to do it. Have you looked at the Canadian dollar recently?
Right.
And they're saying, oh, Pattie, don't worry about it. We'll still enjoy ourselves. Yeah, I bet you will. But that's a different story. But after I get through that February trip, like many Canadians, we are looking at the dollar. We're not going to necessarily go away. Some are boycotting the U.S. altogether right now, but others are, realizing that their dollar doesn't go as far.
Right.
And so they're going to look for ways to build up their financial position right now. Because even if you ask me, you say, Pattie, what do you think's going to happen? Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
I don't think we know.
Right.
I don't. Now, maybe those who are negotiating, who are much closer than I am to that situation. But I can tell you in our household that we're looking at our emergency fund. How much money do we have available should we need it? We're both retired and doing, I'm not going to say side hustles, because it's the first time in my life I've been an entrepreneur, and it's tough. Like, you're constantly looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you this, but I mean, for me, who's always been like this little person in a corporate environment, it is a big deal. And for small business owners, it is a big deal. And so people are saying, I'm going to get the emergency fund. I'm shutting down all discretionary spending right now. I am going to put off unnecessary purchases. I'm going to invest in energy efficiency for a cost today, for better savings tomorrow. But it's one of those things that we can't control what the government's doing. We can't. And we can't control what the U.S. president is doing. But each of us can control how we respond to it.
So what is an if you have an emergency fund, what is your advice for people when they're looking at how large that emergency fund should be. Do you have
Yeah.
a tip on? Is it a percentage of like what? Just you tell me. What is this?
You know what? It theoretically is having 3 to 6 months living expenses tucked aside in cash or near cash. Maybe you have it in a guaranteed investment certificate that you could cash in that you would need. For a lot of families who are living paycheck to paycheck, they almost gulp at the thought of putting this kind of money aside.
Yes.
So what I would recommend to those is that they take out a line of credit or have it available, get a credit card that you don't use. And I know when you're already close to the margin, I'm telling you to take on more debt. No, I'm telling you that this is an emergency bridge that if you had to pay to keep the roof over your head, you have access to money, because typically when you need money, you can't get it.
Right.
Because you don't have a job.
Right.
And people, we're already seeing corporations pulling back. They are not investing. And when you don't have investment here in Canada, it sort of freezes up. People become paralyzed because they don't know where we're going to go. So businesses stop investing. They stop hiring. In some cases, they start to lay off. Small business owners have to start to lay off. And then there's the knock-on effect in the economy where people lose their job. And it may be your neighbor. You don't worry about it until it hits your household.
Right.
But if you're the small business owner that owns the restaurant on the corner, they're not coming to your restaurant. The services, this sort of thing. And this is why we talk about the economy hitting a standstill if there are 25% tariffs put in place.
And now a word from our title sponsor, DoorDash. Season 2 of Beyond a Ballot is officially powered by DoorDash. Just like we go beyond a ballot, DoorDash goes beyond delivery. DoorDash is committed to helping merchants reach new customers, providing Dashers with flexibility, and by helping everyday Canadians find more time for what matters most. This week, we want to revisit how DoorDash helps save consumers time and stress. Did you know that 78% of parents surveyed say DoorDash helps them be productive or gives them more time for other activities? 70% of these parents use the extra time to be with their families. Or that 93% of consumers agree that DoorDash reduces the burden of cooking when they don't have time. I'm one of them. I also, this week, have DoorDashed myself some cold medication a few times, and that has saved me from having to go to the store and infect everybody around me. So thank you. A special thank you this week to DoorDash. It's easy to see how DoorDash empowers Canadian businesses, Dashers, and families alike. One of the questions that people keep asking me is, what is the impetus for these tariffs? I mean, we've had people speculating wildly.
Get into the brain of Donald Trump.
Yeah,
and tell us everything.
taking over Canada. But maybe you could talk to us about the actual, tangible economic benefits of him imposing. Like, what's he trying to do economically?
No, that's the point.
There are none.
No, you're absolutely right.
Crazy.
That's the part that is so hard to understand.
Wow.
It impacts us. But it also, when we retaliate and we target red states that are not going to be happy, I mean, I would throw out there, why do you think there's only 10% on oil?
Yeah.
Because Americans are going to see it and feel it at the pump, and they are not going to be happy when we retaliate. So, is it because he wants manufacturing back in the U.S.? What I can tell you, what I personally believe, no, I can't tell you for sure. What I do believe is it's not about fentanyl. Because the deal that got us the 30-day reprieve is nothing. I mean, really, it's just not. I wrote it down here because I was doing another chat.
Yeah.
I was on TV earlier.
Of
I
course.
put Canada offered up an off-ramp to Trump. $1.3 billion border plan, 10,000 frontline personnel. And basically, this is nothing. And we really aren't the problem when it comes to fentanyl and, illegal immigration. So we don't know what the end game is. It may be the trade deficit. It may be wanting to grow manufacturing back in the US, or it just simply may be about power at this point. And there's a certain bully tactic. He has been flooding, signing off executive orders.
Yeah.
And not all of them are sticking. And so there is going to be fatigue sooner than later with everything that does go on. And people will get tired of it. I just don't know when.
When
he talks about a trade
can
deficit,
I just follow up on
sorry,
that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just on the 10%, you remind me, China, he went forward with the tariffs on China. Those are at 10%. Why the imbalance there? Why Canada 25, China 10? We have no clue.
I honestly don't know.
This is wild. Wild.
I think there is the business relationship. There is, we have a lot of companies that still do business. Apple, for example, has manufacturing. I honestly don't understand the full rationale behind the numbers. Great question.
You talked about the trade deficit, which is something he's given many reasons why the tariffs, why he imposed a 25% tariff for 24 hours. But what is the trade deficit? Explain it to our listeners.
A trade deficit is I think in his perfect world, we import and export on equal dollar amount, equal amounts, and everyone benefits the same. But there are going to be different things that we offer up: oil, energy, electricity. Electricity is a big one.
Yeah.
When I look at aluminum, for example, I think in Canada, we have maybe 9,500 employees, and we export that to the US to over 500,000 manufacturers.
Wow.
And so it's not dollar for dollar. It's not. But when you think of the trade deal that Trump put into place, he put it in place.
Yes.
And if I recall, he talked about it being the best trade deal he's ever seen. Right. Okay, that was then. This is now. I don't know where this is going to go. I really don't. I do know that, and you guys, not guys, but you both would be very much aware that our prime minister is meeting with labor and business, and it's an economic summit going on right now. I think that's good news. It's good news that there is a conversation. It's happening. I think we need to move things along, get at it. Yeah.
What do you think of the government's response to the tariffs? So we came out pretty quickly with our own response and retaliatory measures. I'm curious of your thoughts on that.
I will tell you this. It was my birthday celebration on the weekend with all our grandchildren.
Happy belated.
And I was waiting to hear the prime minister speak when he told me he would do it at 6, and then he told me at 8:30, and then he came on at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I can't remember.
We were waiting too.
Of course we were. We all were. But I do think it was delivered the way a prime minister should deliver it. And it was forceful. I think Canadians are angry. I thought that was brought out. I have to be honest. I liked Team Canada. I'm Team Canada. And I love that. But what I wanted to see is it happening. I want it to be Team Canada. I do think the breaking down of trade barriers, to have free trade and on a global basis, is a win-win. I just think it is. And I'm hoping that we get there. But, in the meantime, before we run out of time, the other big wild card is mortgages that come up for renewal. Yes. Variable, fixed. What do you do? Right. Because the bank rate right now is at 3%. And one economist on Bay Street said, if we get 25% tariffs, I think you should see 25 basis points cut at each of the next bank rate announcements.
Right.
That would take rates to 1.5.
Wow.
But tariffs are inflationary.
Right.
Because they drive the price of goods higher. And so if we get 25% tariffs, we are not going to see that bank rate go down lower. and this is important for people who are renewing their mortgages, you could see the bank rate go to 6%
Right.
because
Oh my
inflation
God.
takes off. Or you put the tariffs in place and prices get more expensive, but people stop buying and the economy slows down. When the economy starts to slow down, what does the bank do? It cuts rates. What a balancing act we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who has a mortgage that's coming up for renewal, many of the experts that I follow and like to read say go variable, but you have to understand that there is uncertainty, a great amount. And the last part about this that I want to throw in, did I just take over the podcast?
No, I
No,
love
this
this.
is Amanda and I are
they're
writing notes.
Everyone is gonna love this. This
Yeah.
is so
I
good.
just want to get
so tangible. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
just stuff that you can think about when
sure.
it comes to your portfolios. The hardest thing to do in periods of uncertainty is nothing. If you have a well-balanced portfolio, some money in cash, some money in bonds, some money in stocks, and they're good quality companies, and they may be in the US. I mean, if you look at the TSX, it hit a record high this week. You look at the US markets, they're hitting record highs. It doesn't mean you don't make money there. It means that sometimes when you feel this uncertainty, you think, I got to do something. And the hardest thing is to do nothing if you really are balanced. So I can tell you, in the interest of disclosure, I've not touched our portfolio.
Okay.
I have talked to portfolio managers on Monday when we saw the markets grind to a halt around the globe. They've had their eye on good quality companies waiting for a buying opportunity.
Right.
And guess what? If you're a long-term investor, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this tariff period.
Yeah.
They were in buying up because you don't get opportunities like that. And when you're invested and you want those slightly higher returns that we've been getting, you have to expect some volatility. And that's what we're getting.
What do we do with our dollar? What do you think about the dollar, Pattie?
Don't spend it in the US.
Don't spend it in the US. Okay, so the dollar definitely dipped below 70 cents.
Yeah.
It came back and it's trending. I don't have it in front of me, but can you see it? It was like 69.71 at least at the end of day yesterday. The dollar definitely sold off. The peso sold off as well. People move into the US dollar as a safe haven play.
Yes.
They also move into gold, an exchange traded fund, that or a mutual fund that's focused on gold. It's also, it's a safe haven play. It's a US dollar play. But I will say that the dollar was already trending lower, and that had more to do with the differential in rates between Canada interest rates and the US. Money goes and gets invested where it gets its, pun intended, biggest bang for its buck.
Right.
So where they get the best return. And so the US Fed has said, we're sort of on pause. We're not looking to, cut rates any further right now. We're going to see how the economy plays out. The Bank of Canada has been cutting rates, and there's a differential. Our rates are much lower than the US. When you look at where you're going to invest your money, it's going to be in the US dollar for a better return right now than the Canadian dollar. So that has a lot to do with it. And of course, all this uncertainty does.
So spending is a hugely powerful way to send an economic message, right? What would your advice to everybody listening be in terms of how we support Canada? Buy local, buy Canadian has been a big message this week.
So I have a shop where I buy clothes. And they said, we're opening a second location that is only Canadian made. Will you do a reel with us on Instagram? I love Instagram.
We do too.
I just ridiculous. Yeah. So if you want to follow me, no. But
I follow you. Yes. You're great.
Oh my gosh, you're so nice. Thank you. But seriously, I am going to buy Canadian. I am going to look for alternatives. Silly little thing. I needed a new yoga mat. And my immediate reaction was, I'm going to go to Amazon.
Totally.
And I went, no, No, I'm not. Now, I haven't bought it yet because I can't find one that's soft enough but sturdy enough.
Oh,
So
we have a
very, very
company.
selective.
I'll send it to you.
Send me the link.
Woman-owned
Send me the link. It's
Canadian
gotta be
company.
Canadian. But I think that if I can buy BC wine, I do still enjoy a glass of wine on occasion. I'm going to do it.
Right.
So I think that we're all doing what we can. Here's my quick list before we go. I wrote this down too. Here's what we're doing: purchasing in bulk
Okay.
before tariffs come in. This is a good opportunity to do it now. Dropping brand names. I'm going with generic and maybe store brands. I can tell you 100% coupons, discounts, and loyalty programs. My fave, cashback apps. People are using them.
Right.
And every little bit helps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about doing one big thing right. It's about doing a lot of little things right. I already talked about cutting unnecessary spending. Oh, secondhand. Get this.
Yes.
This is breaking news. My daughter, because I'm allowed to say it now, has a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old boy. I live across the street from her in they call it Pattie's Lake House, but it's just a little house on the lake. But in any event, is now expecting twin boys.
Oh my God.
So if you can't do the math,
That's
4
4
little boys under 4.
Oh my gosh, bless
I'm
her.
almost ready to move, to be honest with you, but I'm not. But the reason I'm saying this is, I mean, they're twins. We don't even have twins in our family. But the point is,
Oh my God.
we have been going on Facebook Marketplace. We have been looking at secondhand. And the stuff that we're getting that's like brand new.
Yeah.
I said, would you have done this before? And she said, maybe, probably not with 1, but now with 2.
For
when
sure.
she wasn't really, you get where I'm coming from. Anyway, alternative markets, farmers markets, thrift stores, wholesale clubs, all of these things, they add up, and getting energy efficient. But, I think each household, it's a great exercise to sit down and say, here are our costs. How can we collectively say, until we get through this, and we will, we're not going to order in, and you're going to be in charge of this, and we're going to get creative, and we're going to, save money at the grocery store. And I know it all sounds so simplistic. It isn't simple, but it is doable. Can I say my last comment?
Yes. Oh, please
about
do,
Warren
please.
Buffett, because I know you're going to cut
Warren
me off.
Buffett?
Warren Buffett, who I love,
love.
one of the wealthiest men in the world. He goes to McDonald's every single day. And he gets the same breakfast, but
He does?
it's drip. Yeah, he does. I know. And the guy's like 100. But he goes to McDonald's, and when his stock, Berkshire Hathaway, is doing really, really well, he gets the full breakfast deal. Hash browns, his Coke, his, egg,
Coke.
whatever. But if his stock is down, he gets less. He forgoes the hash brown. Now, you
Warren
can't tell me he
Buffett
can't afford
forgoes a hash brown. Come on now. What are we talking
It's
about?
on Netflix. Now, I'm
What?
paraphrasing, but that's my point is that, you know what? I'm not saying life has to change forever, but I think it does change for right now, even if it's just a little bit. And even if, and we do need Canadians to continue to spend.
Yes.
Because those small business owners that you've been talking about,
rely on
they
it.
need those who can afford to spend and to support the economy. But I don't think any one person has to do it single-handedly.
Pattie Lovett-Reid, you're so smart.
Yeah,
And
we love you.
I wish we had you in our pocket every day.
Yeah.
For all of this good
that's
advice.
Very kind. Oh,
So
no,
much
you know
good
what? I
advice.
think every single person listening right now is going to say, yeah, that's what we're doing. I mean, Canadians are savvy.
Yeah.
This didn't happen overnight. We've been going through a period of, difficulty.
I think there's a lot of panic, though. So
There
maybe
is.
what's your concluding message to those that are really fearful of the economic period we're about to go through?
I think it's controlling what you can within your household. Don't get emotional about it. Be very practical about it.
Yeah.
And the savvy person will reach out for help. If you really feel overwhelmed and you're not sure how to make ends meet, when I talked about a consumer proposal, it's not bankruptcy. It's and only a licensed insolvency trustee can reach out to the people you owe money to and say, let's stop the interest clock for now. And let's agree on how much we will pay or can pay. Just don't bury your head in the sand, because then it only gets so much worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Will you come back again? We would love to have you back again.
I would love to, but not in 27 days if it doesn't go the way I hope.
Well, our fingers and toes are crossed that we'll have you back and we'll come out unscathed.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you for following me on Instagram. Amanda, you didn't
my
say
pleasure.
You did.
Yeah,
I sure do, Patty.
Of course we do. We're waiting for the hair and makeup
tutorial.
tutorial.
Days. That's another conversation for another
That's
time.
Right. Fitness. Oh, Patty talks about it all. Okay, make sure to find her on Instagram, and we will be right back.
Thank you for listening. New episodes air every Friday.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and find us at beyondaballot.com.